I'm coming to get you. You in the kitchen. In the goddamn refrigerator.
I sure am hungry.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Morning Dinner Podcast. It's your boy Keem Chuck, and we host the Morning Dinner Podcast. Based out of Las Vegas, we sit down with creators, entrepreneurs, and hustlers and have conversations. What up, Cameron?
Oh, yeah. What's up, Keem?
Today we got Cameron Dettman in the house.
Dude, we this is a nice little, throwback to like when we first met,
When was the first time we met?
I think it was...
At the studio?
It was at you guys had a studio.
Indie Flair
Studios down in the Arts District, and it was awesome. And I think I showed up for a party or something. Your opening party. It was
that was
opening party. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cash Colligan.
Yeah.
And so then after that, I had met some friends of mine, Kyle and B, who you had on the show.
Yep.
Kyle Harris.
Yep.
And we wanted to start a sort of a concert series, kind of reminiscent of So Far Sounds.
Yeah.
But sort of more local,
Yeah.
And it was called Vegas Live Sessions. And we had, I think, 4 of them at your guys' place.
We had a couple. We would have 2 a month.
Yeah, we had quite a few. It was basically just like a small, intimate acoustic show with musicians. We'd have like a host and and people would just show up. And it was really cool at the beginning. It was very organic and very cool and very relaxed. And
stuff. I love the vibes.
I want to talk about that because it actually reminded me of So Far Sounds when we had who do we have on our Sonia?
Yeah.
Sonia. Yeah, we had Sonia on here a couple weeks ago and she talked about So Far Sounds. I don't know why, for some reason I thought that was like a Vegas Live Sessions thing because I know Vegas Live Sessions continued afterwards and you guys you were doing it somewhere else.
Yeah,
like Artifice.
We moved it to the Artifice
then
and then
Airstream, sorry.
Yeah, and then Airstream Park for a while, and it kind of I stopped being involved in it after a certain point in time just because I got too busy for it,
Yeah.
But Kyle and B kept it going for a pretty good while, and then they kind of got burnt out on it too. But actually, it was more of we were sort of trying to do something similar to So Far Sounds. I wasn't as familiar with So Far Sounds when we actually, thought of the concept.
Yeah.
But then as I kind of learned more, I realized that, it was pretty similar sort of deal.
Yeah.
But I've noticed a lot of those types of events popping up all over different cities and stuff too. I've been trying to research places to perform, and I'll stumble across some little acoustic sessions thing at some place,
Yeah.
and it's all the same kind of vibe.
Those secret shows.
Yeah, the exclusivity of it,
Before we get carried away, do you want to let people know who you are and what you do out here real quick?
Absolutely, yeah. Hi, I'm Cameron Dettman. I'm a singer, songwriter, and performer here in Las Vegas. I write original music. I produce and create original videos, and and I just like to be nice to people and make music, and
that's a good little bio.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I like to be good to people.
I like traveling. I like to play Super Smash Brothers Ultimate quite a lot.
Hey.
Shit.
You played on the three. What's it called?
Switch.
The
yeah.
Switch.
Mm-hmm.
You say 3U?
I was gonna say 3DS, bro.
Like the 3U.
Chill.
Yeah. So that's pretty much me.
Nice. Your music is how would you describe the sound of it? Because I listen to a lot of it, and it ranges from like funky to like almost a little bit country / rock.
Yeah.
How would you describe the music that you make?
I think I definitely would start with I like a lot of soul music. I didn't listen to too much country growing up,
folk?
but a little folk, a little Americana. I think Americana more so than country because I don't really relate specifically to those country sort of themes.
Yeah, what's Americana?
Is like organic music, similar to country, but just without the accent, and also the lyrical.
That's probably what I like.
And also the lyrical content, not so much at those sort of country tropes.
Yeah.
Is Americana like Johnny Cash? Would that be a little bit more?
Yeah,
because he's not too like
or like
country,
the Lumineers, the Eagles. Lumineers kind of folk
Eagles.
too.
That's a good one.
Eagles is one. A lot of classic rock bands kind of fall into that realm too, like Doobie Brothers and stuff like that. And then who would I think modern, like Sturgill Simpson? He's kind of country, but he is way more soul Americana, I would feel, than that.
It was your track, Never Giving Any Way.
Yeah.
That's the track that made me feel it was country, but I guess it's not. But to me, it had those like instrumentations, you know what I mean? And those strong vocal dynamics.
I'm definitely driven by organic music primarily. Especially, I listened to a lot of, classic rock and stuff growing up, a lot of, Hall & Oates, Doobie Brothers, like the Eagles, stuff like that. And then also a lot of soul, like Earth, Wind & Fire, George Benson, and, Otis Redding, those kind of guys. And so it kind of, I like to try to do a combination of that as well. I don't know. I like being eclectic too, because it's really hard to kind of put, I'm very ADHD, so my attention kind of is all over the place. And I think musically it does that as well, because some days I'll be like, oh, I want to write something really funky, or I'll go, oh, I just want to write something with a lot of soul, or I want to write like a blues song, or I want to try making something kind of more digital. And, because music is so interesting nowadays that it has jumped around to so many different places, over even in a very short amount of time, I feel. Yeah. Like early 2000s, everything was all just about, singer-songwriter types, and then it kind of morphed into, EDM morphing with pop, with like Gaga coming out. So and then all the EDM DJs came around, and then they took over, whatever everybody was doing. And then now there's this sort of thing called post-EDM that's happening, where it's all just a lot of organic instruments combined with digital instruments as well. So there's like a lot of elements like real guitars, real, soulful and big sounding vocals, but then you have like a lot of digital drums, and it almost has also helped with the production of everything too, because everybody also is a producer now. And
you don't need a whole entire band. Yeah, like and everything.
Absolutely. People are just making songs on their laptops, and they're making big songs, and it's amazing because back in the day, like a producer was somebody that you hired, and it was an outsourcing thing, Yep. And it's like it's like you're in a band, right? And you write a bunch of songs, and you find a producer, and then you hook up with the producer, you do the pre-production, you get together, and then he does all of that work. All you do is record, and then just sit back and let him do everything, Right. But now everything is so hands-on. Right. If you're an artist now, you have to be a video editor, you have to be an audio engineer, you have to be a producer, you have to be a social media marketer, you have to be a photographer, just like there's so, and then you have to also be your own booking agent, like even like management and stuff. Like managers only kind of come in to artists a lot of time like on a very higher level than they used to, and it used to be a lot more like, oh, I see potential in you, like, and then I'm going to help build you up. But now it's like you do all your own artist development, and then eventually someone will come along, like at some point.
Wow. So it really the industry has changed that much to where they kind of have to wear more hats.
Mean, there's still managers that do look kind of from the beginning, but just as a whole, like, artist development used to be a thing that record labels would do and managers would do, and now it's kind of more focused on the artist itself, because everybody has the tools now.
Yeah, there's no excuse to an extent.
It's like you have social media, you have YouTube, you have all the ways that you can put your content out there. There's all the gatekeepers aren't the only ones that like have a way for you to get success, basically. You know what I mean?
Well, to think about the way it was done back in the day, you had to, your management or whoever was marketing, you had to basically find out different avenues of promoting you and your music, as opposed to now, where you can just post an Instagram story and people know exactly what you're up to.
Yeah, it's amazing,
You kind of touched on something right now where you were talking about how much easier it's gotten to be your own one-man band. Oh, yeah. You've been in bands before. Do you prefer the solo act or like being in a band kind of thing?
Oh, man. There's pros and cons to both, I feel like I had more fun in a band because, especially if you're in a band with people you like, or that you love, right. Because it's like being in a band is like being in a relationship with, multiple people, and instead of having sex, you're playing music.
It's kind of the same thing.
So it's like that's the common euphoric. That's the only thing. It's like you're sharing in this like intimate experience together. You're creating something, instead of children, you're creating music, And so there's a lot of amazing times, and there are moments where, the way we'd write songs in my old band would be just like sort of an organic thing where we would be in a room together, and somebody would just start doing something.
It's that creative juices just flowing.
And then the drummer would make a beat around it, and then you would kind of go and you would just kind of feel it out, and then until it train wrecked, and you'd be like, oh, I really like what you're doing up until this point, so let's try it again, and then try it, and then you just kind of keep trying to build this thing out, and that way of writing was so much more fulfilling than just kind of writing by yourself. Because writing, and then there's, doing everything solo, you have way more control over it. And there's a lot more things you can kind of do without having to like
get them rejected.
And appease everybody. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but then a lot of that was fun. You liked other people's opinions too. And so that's why co-writing is a thing still as well. But bands are hard. They're really hard
to keep organized and meet up, and
it's like you have to also balance everyone else's schedules. Their relationships come into play as well, and their jobs, and and all that type of stuff. And then it's like you have to keep everybody happy too.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody doesn't feel like they're being represented enough in the music or, or whatever it might be, like then you have to talk about it. So like there's just a lot of things, that have to go right, for it to be awesome. And, and it kind of goes to shows because a lot of bands break up,
Right.
A lot of them, and including mine, but we're still cool and everything. But yeah,
yeah, of course.
It was just, we had gone for about 6 years, and then I had gone solo, and I kind of been doing that ever since,
I forgot who we were talking to about this, but they mentioned that instead of having like a physical band now, what musicians do is they'll have like a community of friends that they can always reach out to for gigs. So like if you're playing a show, you have a friend who can come play bass or guitar or something like that.
Luckily for me, I do Las Vegas has a really great cover scene where you play cover songs to make money, and it's been around for a long time, and a lot of bands that have been come through Vegas started out playing cover gigs, like Imagine Dragons and the Killers. They were playing cover gigs,
Really?
Oh yeah. And so like playing at O'Shea's, there's a cover gig there where there's a really not great stage and has a really shitty electronic drum kit, and the gig is just really lame and it's fun, but it's kind of cringy, at the end of the day, like the way they EQ everything, it's just, you sound like a bar band, like one of those, you know what I mean? And so
they're not making it a concert, they're making it background music.
But you get to develop those skills, like doing crowd work and kind of feeling, things out, and just performing in general as a whole, like having that kind of practice really helps you as a performer, because performing specifically is something that you can only really get better at if you're actually performing. Like rehearsing there's only so much you can do in rehearsal, because it's not the same thing. It's like you can make all the same motions and play the same notes and stuff, but like when you're there in the moment, and the crowd's there and there's adrenaline and there's all these other factors that are happening, the only way to really be ready for that is to just be doing it so much that you are trained for it, that you can work the stage fright out of yourself. Because it's like when you first start performing, you get freaked out and it almost becomes like this big blur, and it's like, and it all happens so fast, and you're like, oh, that was awesome, I don't remember any of it, but then eventually that kind of subsides, and then you can be focused, on what you're doing. And so,
it's one of those things that gets better with the more you do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I remember I used to shoot Sapphire a lot. And
nice.
And go into those, because it was a strip club and they had a pool club, right? Yeah. So like the first time I shot versus the last time I shot was completely different, because you kind of know what to expect. You kind of know where to be at what times to get to get the shot, or to to make your mark on stage and stuff like that.
Exactly, just repetition,
Do you think that there's a stigma, or like a kind of like a way that people think about, like, are there artists out there who are like, oh no, I refuse to play covers, because I don't want to be that cover band player? Yeah,
I have friends that have felt that way in the past too, and there's points to both sides of that. Like, even me personally, I have felt that it's really easy to get sucked into it because the money's good, right? And a lot of as a musician, for most of my life, all I really wanted was the dream was like, what if I just got paid to play music? That would be so fucking cool, And then with these cover gigs, that's an achievable goal, and I achieved that goal. And then I've just been like riding that wave. It's like, oh, I'm just getting paid to play music. This is amazing and stuff. But then after a while, it becomes, more of your life than you want it to be. And it's like, it's the aspect of the business that you don't want to focus too much on. Like, you want to be able to create your own music and be recognized for your own accomplishments, and not just for playing other people's music, Right. But it's still, at the same time, like, I get to go out and play, 3 or 4 nights a week and just like make people smile and have a good time, and everyone, they always say really nice things, and it's so that's in itself is very fulfilling. And again, it's also practice. It's a way for me to
it's a good way to look at it.
Constantly get better at my craft. And not be so surprised at anything. Nothing surprises me anymore. Like drunk people dancing around, just people. If anything,
it kind of prepares you for that life, because I know some crazy shit happens when you perform like in front of actual people at a venue. When you perform at a bar, where it's like the worst case scenario, because people go there to drink. You know what I mean?
Well, they don't, and especially just like the ability to be conscious, because again, like I said, like just the adrenaline pumping can be so it's a good thing and a bad thing, because like it's a great feeling, but then you lose focus, and you may have rehearsed, this thing, for weeks and weeks and weeks, because you'll fuck it up.
The anxiety's just out the window.
So just having that ability to control your mind and be calm is very invaluable.
100%.
And I think that, the biggest thing that I think that a lot of artists really wish they could have more of is stage time, and that's a big thing. And, the cover gigs are a really cool thing with that, but also at the same time, like, they can kind of suck the life out of you and you can get caught up in it. And I know a lot of guys that have been doing it for so many years, and you can just tell it just kind of just drain the life force from them,
Yeah.
So, and it just depends, but again, like, guys in Imagine Dragons, they were doing those gigs for 2 to 3 years, but then they were using the money to make to then fund going on to tours
and that's
put
being smart.
Studio time. Yeah,
that's being smart with it, man.
Yeah.
There's definitely a trade-off, with being with playing covers and things like that, because it does help you to fund your goals. But at the same time, I see what you're saying, where people are like, oh, okay, there's a stigma towards it. But I was gonna say, almost like with photography and like and being a videographer, there's things that pay the bills that aren't necessarily the passion.
Oh, for
but
sure.
They allow
weddings.
you to do the creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like weddings, right? Weddings are very There's a very big stigma against weddings, because there's a lot of people out here that don't like doing weddings.
Oh, for sure.
And weddings pay. You know what I mean? So but at the end of the day, they allow you to do your passion, and it's also like, and this is what I was getting to, is that as a musician, as a creative person, you get kind of like you get off on two different things, whether it's like playing music and seeing the reaction on people's faces, right? That, I'm sure that's something that also plays into it, because I know, like, for my photography, like if I do a wedding, even if it's not fulfilling, like, I love it when a bride goes, oh my god, I'm gonna treasure these forever.
Oh, for sure.
And then they're gonna show either the video or the wedding album every year. It's gonna be a thing for them.
Oh yeah.
There's that self-satisfaction.
There is definitely fulfilling aspects of it, and like I've had people so many times just be like, you just made our night. We stayed the entire time because of you playing. And I was just like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that, and that's at the end of the day, what I really want to achieve with my art anyways, is to bring joy and positivity to the world, so it's kind of me just being sort of picky, I guess, as to how I, what I'm doing that brings that sort of positivity.
Yeah.
It's like, I want it to be my thing and not other, other people. So it's kind of,
I think you have to have that, though.
Yeah.
Because, that makes you who you are creatively.
That's the human drive of creativity.
I'm the same way. Like, I feel like anytime, like, people are like, oh yeah, you're doing the same thing over and over. But I'm like, but I'm making that money, so when I want to do my creative shit and I want to do my passion, I'm not like worrying about getting the funds. I have the funds to literally do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you got to suck it up, but you can always find positives in everything you do.
Absolutely.
Your day-to-day life, like you just said. You know what I mean? And Keem too.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's true.
Let's talk about The Voice real quick, because I know you have an experience performing and auditioning for The Voice.
Oh yeah.
Can you talk about how that happened?
Yeah. So I was on season 13 of The Voice, and how it happened was I had done what's called the cattle call. I like to call it the cattle call, but they just call it the open call.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, it's like the American Idol thing. You see the lines of people waiting for 5-6 hours, So we did that. We went to Los Angeles.
People actually do that though? Like there's a line out there?
Yeah, there's a line.
Wow.
And that's just like, that means anybody, you guys could go, anybody can just show up, right? You just have to like sign up online and go. And we got there at like 4:30 in the morning. We waited for like 5 hours. And then we got into our little audition thing. And then we were in like a little room with like a guy on a desk, and there's like 6 chairs, and then everyone just like steps forward and sings a little song, and then that's it. And they write it down, and then they're like, all right, we'll call you back if we want you back. And then they never called. So that was like in 2013 or something like that, or 12, maybe. I don't know. It was a while back. And so, but apparently they keep tabs on everybody, like from the who auditions.
Right.
And so they have teams of people that will just, check on you to see if you've progressed in any sort of way. And so, and at the time I'd been posting videos online and writing original music and stuff. And so they called me or they emailed me rather, and we're like, hey, we want to give you a private audition. We're doing an audition in Las Vegas, and we see that you've improved and want you to come try out. And so I was like, fuck it. Let's see what happens, because I don't really watch the show. My mom loves the show. My dad, I think he likes it well enough, And so I did the audition. I sang like a Hall & Oates song and like Chris Stapleton or something, and I got through. And then they gave me a little interview process, like where they wanted to see my personality, and I made the guy laugh a few times. And so, and then they gave me what's called the executive callback, was where then you go to a undisclosed location in Los Angeles, and then you stay there for about a week, and then you do the audition in front of some NBC executives.
Oh, wow.
And so we did that. I sang a couple songs for them. It's like, and one, you can play your instrument, and another, you have to just have a microphone so they can see what you are, you know, with just a mic and stuff. So I did that, and then they advanced a bunch of us in one room. So they like split 2 different groups, and one group was they didn't make it, and then the rest were all for the blind audition, which is the one where they hit the buttons and like the chairs are turned around and stuff. And so then what that entailed was I had to spend an entire month in that same place. There's like a hotel in California, and you're sequestered there. You can't leave for like the entire month. You're paid, wait, so you can't even go outside of the hotel? You can go across the street where there's a strip mall, which had like a sushi restaurant, a Denny's, and then like 4 other places, and then like a Starbucks.
What?
Yeah, and that's the only place. And
so you can't tell anybody? Like
No, the people did, but it's more like you can't like. You can't post anything online about it.
Yeah, because then you'll be disqualified or whatever.
That and
it's probably illegal.
You probably get sued.
Well, there's that, and there are super fans that like are always there trying to like find out who the next contestants are and stuff.
Oh, damn!
So, yeah, it's like that on that kind of level.
Super
it's
fans,
really,
bro. That's crazy.
It's crazy. Like even and like there was
some super fans outside of the studio.
It was weird, and it's like there was a leak that happened like maybe like 2 weeks in. And some like voice fan page had like posted my name and was among everybody else's and stuff. So like my name got leaked, and it was like really weird. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So anyway, so you're there for the whole month. You just, they give you your look, they put you through hair and makeup. They give you all these interviews to kind of, you know, build your story, build your personality around. And then you, sing, you pick your one song, and then you just practice the entire month.
By yourself?
By yourself, also with a vocal coach, and also with all the friends you make and stuff. Everybody kind of warms up together and practices. And the whole experience was amazing. Like It was, overall, it was basically like adult singing camp.
I was going to say like summer camp.
Yeah, man, it was really cool, you know. And so I met a lot of really amazing people, a lot of them from Nashville, actually. And, like I became friends with a bunch of these dudes that all lived in Nashville, and we were playing, you know, Cards Against Humanity and drinking in the hotel and just having a good time. Like it was really cool, stuff like that. And then, you know, on top of that, there are other songwriters there too, so people like show each other ideas and stuff. So like the whole thing was just really, really cool.
Do you still talk to any of them?
Yeah, a few of them. There's a girl named Shiloh who I became friends with. She does So Far Sounds New York quite a bit. There's a guy named John Marrow up in Ohio who I really like. He's this crazy, like kind of Prince, Michael Jackson, that sort of, you know, dude. He's got an amazing voice, dances really good. Like he's super kind of spasmodic, like just like, you know, does all these like, he's just really eccentric, I guess would be the better word for it. But he's really cool. There's a guy named Chris Holt. He's a country writer out in Nashville. I think he still writes out there.
So all these people are still doing it and still like killing it with the work that they're doing.
Yeah, they're still doing things. There's a guy named Corbin. He lives in Atlanta. I became really good friends with too. And he is, I believe, he's in a band, and I think put out a couple songs and stuff. I haven't heard much from him. He's kind of not very active on social, but anyway. Yeah. So yeah, a bunch of people. And then, long story short, I didn't get a chair to turn. It was one of the most like terrifying experiences. Like we talk about like being ready for anything and stuff, but it was like,
it's a live audience, right? Like there's people out there.
It's like a 700, cap live audience plus all the cameras, plus
lights hella bright.
Yeah. And plus you got, what's his fucking name? Carson Daly is there, and like all the hosts are there, and just, do you
remember who the hosts were?
Yeah. It was, Adam Blake, Miley Cyrus, and Jennifer Hudson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I just basically
dang, man, that sounds like a super exclusive kind of thing. Like, especially the whole living in seclusion.
I would have been like, you motherfucker better turn your chair.
The whole thing was just over and done with before I even, I even realized what was happening. Like it all happened so fast. You know? And I just like didn't really stick the landing, unfortunately. And it happens, Yeah. And even since then, it kind of lit a fire under my ass to be, just a better performer overall. And yeah, but it was a little bit intense, just the way they kind of like, you realize as soon as you're done that you were just like a product to them, They're just like, all right, bye-bye. See you later. And then you're just like, what?
Yeah. I mean, you even said it yourself. Like they put you on the list to call back so that they can kind of save themselves the work in the future of having to look for people.
Yeah, you look at it that way. I mean, and
But I mean, if you made it on the list, that says something.
Yeah.
I feel, man.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
how many people did you see audition? How many people got on that list, right?
Yeah. Do you remember anybody from the first time you did it?
No, it was just random people that were with us, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, again, like the whole experience of the world was great. The staff and everybody who works for the show are some of the nicest people. Everyone is super, you know, nice and supportive and cool. And but at the end of the day, it's just a show. It's production,
Right?
You know? And they got to just, you know, go on to the next thing. And
That's why I got respect for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
You know Keanu Reeves, right? The John Wick movies.
Of course, yeah.
That dude is so generous that, like, I think, what was it, the Matrix movie that he did?
Yeah.
Like, made millions, right? And instead of keeping all that money to himself, he gave it back to the cast and crew.
No
Like
way.
makeup, special effects, editors. He gave that money to them.
Dude, that's amazing.
He
got
goes,
banked,
y'all made
man.
that movie.
He's the real deal.
Yeah.
He's a real guy.
He's super calm too. I watched that video and I think about his little motorcycles, but he was like,
Oh yeah, he does. He has his own motorcycle
calm.
company.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was like, that's tight. I didn't know.
I love when you hear about that, like celebrities that have these like specific sort of passions that you wouldn't really expect, you know?
I think everybody has to have not only like your passion, but you got to have a hobby, or you got to have one of those things.
Side
you know?
passion.
Oh, let's talk about this. Like, how do you feel about that? Because like, there's people who say like, oh, you're a singer songwriter, your hobby should be performing music, or you're a photographer, you should love taking pictures as a hobby.
See,
like,
yeah.
you know, do you
I've had
think
this
do you think it should be like, oh, you should have that, your passion and a hobby on the side?
No, I think that you need to have other things that you fill your life with, because if you do the same thing all the time, you will get sick of it.
Yeah.
To some degree, and especially if it's something that you love to do, because I still love to play music and stuff. But like for instance, like with the cover gigs, like I get sick of playing for some of these rooms because sometimes like people don't even care that you're even there, you know. And it's like you put all this energy out, and then they're not giving anything back, and it just drains you of all your energy. And so, you need to have other things to fill your time with, so that there's some like contrast. You can come back to the thing that you do love to do, you know, and with fresh eyes. So like, I like to play a lot of like Super Smash Brothers. Like, I like to, you know, I've been recently getting really into just the exercise and going to the gym a lot. You know, so
Break up that monotony, man.
dude. Yeah, you got it.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, you know, especially I've put, you know, 10, 11, 12 years of my life into this thing. And it's like the last thing I want is to not want to do it anymore. It would just be a huge waste of time, you know?
Right.
So you got to have other things in your life, like friends and family and other smaller hobbies that aren't going to amount to any like sort of income, just things you like to do. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think
important.
once it starts bringing you income, those hobbies are like, oh,
here we go.
Gotta find something else.
Because I was even thinking, like, I was like, would it be cool if I could go pro and be like a Smash player, like the esports, you know, and just be like a really good Smash player. Then I'm just like, but then I would just like, all I would do is play Smash all day, and then it would like make me not want to play it as much, you know. So
yeah,
I think it's very rare to find like somebody who has like that strict passion where it's like do or die.
Just
like
that
I
one
was watching that guy who did like he's like a bowling champion, and he got like, I think like, because it's like 600 900 or something. Like he did even more, like like strikes all the way through 3 games.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
And I think you get like a contract or something like instantly if you do that, like no matter what. But this fool, like literally, he was like, I lost my wife because of bowling. I was like, oh fuck. Like this fool like is about bowling.
I mean, no, you'll definitely have those Gary Vaynerchuk's, bro.
Yeah, like do or die.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I used to be really big on the whole hustle hard mentality, but I feel like that's great if you're that kind of person.
Yeah. Exactly. You gotta be that kind of person. You can't force yourself
to be that kind of person. You know what I mean?
That's why I get so nervous about some of that like hustle culture stuff that people post about, because it's like, that is a blanket statement, you know, that does not apply to everybody.
Yeah.
There's no rules to that.
Personality type. Yeah, it's like it works for some people, but like you got to have discipline, of course, and you got to be able to work hard. And working hard is the most important thing to get out of that. It's just like, yes, work hard, but also know how to, you know, relax hard
too.
And relax hard.
Yeah.
You know, like I realized the other day, I've been getting really burned out, just, you know, always filling my day with some sort of thing, like a task of like, you know, I got to be, you know, writing today or practicing this new song today, or, you know, get ready for this shoot or whatever. And then, you know, I haven't actually had like a vacation since like 2017.
Yeah.
So in July, I'm taking like a whole week off. Just
nice.
Yeah.
I went through a period too where I was like, I haven't had a vacation in like 2 years, man.
Dude.
Yeah. I'm just
like I have vacation days at work, and I use them all to do gigs.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
Same
Like,
thing. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. So I think that's really, really important, you know, and I think, I don't know. I feel like social media has just made everything seem so frantic to everybody. You know, so even it makes it even more like that people have to like, oh my God, I gotta be doing something.
I gotta
fall
look
behind.
cool.
You know,
yeah. It's all a facade for sure.
The look cool thing, very much so.
It's crazy, and like we talked about it with Adam Ivy.
Yeah,
it's validation. Everybody wants that validation.
I love is with musicians a lot of times these days like that. I get randomly followed by people on Instagram all the time, and there was just some gal who followed me from Arizona. And she was just this very, very gorgeous young lady. Let's put it that way. And,
slide in the DMs.
And she, I don't know, on her page, like, oh, I'm, musician, songwriter, artist and stuff. But like the only thing that was on her page was like, there was no link to anything. There's link to a SoundCloud, and that's it, just SoundCloud. And then like she had all these different like photos from photo shoots she's been doing. And all it looked like she was doing was these photo shoots. And I was like, okay, like, you don't have any clips of you singing or performing at all? It's like, no, I'm a singer, I'm a performer and stuff, but it's like all about just these photos. And I was like, okay. And then I listened to the music itself, and it was not good, So it's like, you say you're focusing on the wrong thing here, clearly. It's like, make the best music you can, and then the other stuff you can kind of be secondary for it. But it's like, but then she had like 10,000 followers. Because she's a beautiful woman, and that's just how that works. That's
that balance, man. Yeah. you'll have the prettiest like girls get the most amount of attention, but it's not that much keeping people there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I can always talk about it. If we were girls, if we were baddies, bro. Oh yeah. This world would be ours,
dude.
This world would be ours. I get mad when I see like a pretty girl,
but it doesn't mean you're happy. At the end of the day,
that's true.
It's funny, they say things like, "Oh, it's a man's world." I'm just like, yeah, but who controls the men? You know what I mean,
exactly.
It's like every guy is a sucker to that one woman.
Exactly.
This is how it works, man.
It's a balance. I'll keep it at that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Have you heard that new song with Lil Nas, "The Old Town Road"?
Yeah, I have.
How do you feel about genres like crossing, like because it's country, rap?
Jay-Z did that back in the day.
I think
we did that.
There's a lot of controversy with that one.
Yeah.
I think that if the intention is sincere, coming from that guy Lil Nas, right? That's his name, then I think that it should be, in whatever genre it seems to be fit. And they had a thing where they were just like, it's not a country song, and it's like, well, I mean, it fits all the tropes. It just doesn't fit the sort of like traditional, way that people perceive country music to be.
It's a fusion.
What's like Limp Bizkit or Chris Rock? What is that? Is that rock music, or is that?
That's like rock and rap. So that was like a whole thing.
Oh, rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was country rap.
It's kind of like how Linkin Park did the rock and rap thing.
Yeah. I mean, if it works, it works. I think that I can see how the people who are, especially like the sort of traditional country music fans, don't like it because country music follows a lot of those music tropes of being sort of crafted in a way that takes time and care, and also uses like organic instruments. Like you hear guitars, you hear lap steels, you hear bass, drums, and all that type of stuff. But then again, there's a thing that's happening called bro country, where it's basically just like do, and it's just like
is that what
beat like?
What is it called,
bro country?
Is that
the butt rock country?
What Nelly was doing for a while?
No, it's more like that. Like if it's meant to be, it'll be. That song or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's just a beat with like a country sounding guy, and then that's it. It could just be a pop song. It's just a pop song,
right?
But they just throw a country twangy guy, and then like maybe like an acoustic guitar or something, or a banjo, and then call it a country song, And so like the traditional country fan. Some people have accepted that and some people haven't. And I think that this Lil Nas thing kind of goes into that same realm of like, this is not traditional. It's not what I'm used to. So I don't like it,
Yeah.
But I think that you have to be open-minded to whatever kind of comes along.
I have so much respect
it
for it,
blew
bro.
him up though.
I got so much respect. I never heard of him before that song.
Have you heard his old music though?
No,
dude, it's crazy. It's
nothing like it.
No, it's just rap music.
Is it just trap stuff?
Yeah,
dude. He fucking hit gold with that because he just figured out something that
everybody does it, man.
Yeah,
if you want to call it culture vulture, whatever, like it is just how it is.
Yeah, think about everybody who does a song with a Latin artist now.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
It almost seemed like it was like sort of like a satire song, though.
Yeah,
and I think also that.
I mean, if you look at the music video,
the music video was great, though.
And I think that's another thing also that why people didn't care for it so much because it almost seemed like he was making fun of the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of rubbed people the wrong way, maybe. You know,
I liked it, man. I went to go visit my family in Cali over the weekend, and I got I think he's like 4 years old. And I get to his house, my cousin's kid. We call him nephew, but he's not. You know, he's my cousin's kid.
But that's how it works.
But that's how Mexicans do it. but yeah, I get to the party and that song's playing.
Yeah.
And he loves that song. And he's 4 years old. I'm like, oh, okay. So Lil Nas knows what he's doing. Because if they're getting the attention at that young of an age and then that's catching on, they know something I don't, for sure. You know what I mean? Because I first saw the video like a week or two ago, before I even went to Cali.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then to see that many people play it, and I guess it's playing on radio too. And
Yeah, it is. I hear it all the time at every bar and club I go to.
I think that's an example of like how, you know, with songwriting these days, like hooks are such an important thing. Like they've become more important than a lot of other aspects of songwriting that used to be more important. Like the actual lyrical content being something of value and something deep and you know, thought provoking, which you know is great, but not everybody likes that, and a lot of people just like a party jam or something that like makes them feel good or something that gives you a nice vibe, you know. And so a lot of songs nowadays are just that. It's like they're a nice vibe, or they have a catchy thing to it, or it's like a, you know, it's like that. It's just why that Baby Shark song got so big.
Dude, they did a Mexican band cover.
Like that's a hook. Like, you know, so and hooks are also consumable by everybody, all ages.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
It's just like
Because the repetitiveness, it's such an easy thing to attain, you know, for the
But
human.
I think that's part of the thing, though, man. I think, like, you know, people who do these Baby Shark songs, like, they're smart. Like, they get it. They know what sells,
to it, man.
and they're making money off of it. Like, and you know, and who knows? Maybe whoever wrote that Baby Shark song, I don't know who wrote it. Or
there's something.
I think it's a Korean
something
song,
in the music like world.
I'm pretty sure it's from Korea. Like it's from a Korean children's show. Or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it could be.
It's crazy because they said something about chords, like a certain chord progression that you use, and it's only like 3 chords. That's all you need to have that.
Yeah, I've seen
thing
those
to
videos on
capture people.
Facebook.
And I'm like, it does make sense because like most of the songs you hear, you're like, oh damn, that's all you need to.
Yeah.
Because if it's too complex, people lose. Like it might be too much for them, but that's what I like. I love experimental.
I like a lot of older tunes just because there was, you know, the things that were valued back then were more so, you know, things along the lines of like musicianship, and then actually again like lyrical content being something thought provoking or interesting or even like something that didn't make much sense, but you had to kind of like analyze it, you know. And I think that's just the way that people consumed music back then. It was a lot more of like a whole piece of cohesive art and experience. Like with an album, you know, bought the thing, you took it out of the slip, you like put it on, you got to read it and like look inside, and while you're listening to it, you kind of got to experience it all together.
Right.
And now, you know, it's just
stream.
Now it's just like, all right, no, next song.
Right.
You know, it's just like
that junkie mentality.
Are just is something that like people have expected to get for free now. You know, you used to have to pay for it, and now
bro, like
you have to just put it out, and like you don't get really
if
any
you
money
put
for
if
it.
you put a new song out and it's not on Spotify and iTunes. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not listening to it. You know what I mean? Like that's just what the mentality
what, are you
is.
gonna get a CD?
Don't blame me. No, I'll buy the CD. I'm saying like most people's mentality is like if it's not available for free, how do I even know I want it? Right?
Yeah.
Like that 30-second sample used to be good enough back in the day in iTunes.
Oh my god, not anymore.
You don't get that no more. Like now you got to get the whole song for free. You get the music video for free. I want to see the behind the scenes video.
Won't give a damn.
I want to get to know you as a person.
Yeah.
And then
I might
buy a ticket to your show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's all
though?
about shows.
It's like you have to put so much of yourself out there, you know, more than you used to. And now,
kind of going back to what you said at the beginning, man. It's just like you got to do everything nowadays to stand out and be that next person. But it goes back to like I was talking to a coworker about like just how like even editing and video and photography, like it's gonna get to a point where you film a video, you put it into a program and just hit edit. And it'll edit it for you. Because Resolve, like I just found a DaVinci Resolve, if you put like a whole video clip in, like let's just say you had a full video clip of already recorded thing, it will split up the clips automatically. And I'm like, oh fuck.
Well, you know programs like themusicbed.com, right? Have you heard of them?
I think so.
They're like they're websites where you can go to get royalty free music. You pay $50 or whatever for the track.
Yes.
You can put like, I want this beat per minute. I want this like feeling, emotion, sad, happy, energetic. I want with vocals, without vocals, and it customizes like a play, not a playlist, but like it actually is a playlist. It'll customize an entire like playlist of music that matches that sound of what you're looking for. So I mean, I think it's only a matter of fact until like your editing software for video can learn your edits as you do them.
Yeah, because think about when you can, because I know a guy made it already, but you can hum like a tune in, and it fucking will convert it easily into like chords, and then you just fix it because they already have something like that. But think when it gets really good, where you can just literally like just be right here, make a whole thing. It'd be tight for certain musicians, but
and I think that's a lot of. I think that's why concerts and real life experiences have become so popular, because there's so many things that have just been sort of made easier. You know? And there's a lot less like sort of human element to it, and so like that's why I think people love still to see like somebody actually do something in real life, you know, like, which is, and why, like, you know, you see people walking around and, you know, just trying to take pictures of everything, because everything's all about the experience.
Yep. Now, and people want to validate themselves and be like, look where I'm at.
It's just right back what you're talking about.
It's crazy. It's just a big old circle. It's tight though.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on your most recent release, Eclecticity, right?
Oh yeah.
Can we speak about how you came to create that project? And
I started working on the songs, man, like 2015. And so I worked with a producer named Pat Hudley here in town. He's recorded Almost Normal, Avalon Landing, those guys from back in the day. And he also records this rapper named Yauda. He's very well-versed in, you know, a lot of different genres. And he's a really good guy, really nice. And so we did this project, started it back then, and finished it when I was in Singapore, and we released it, I think last July. And yeah, it's like 6 songs that I put together that I really like, that are kind of all, they have fit into different sort of categories, like, because I like to keep things eclectic, and I have a lot of different musical tastes, so I try to sort of combine that all into one EP of stuff like that, and I think it turned out good. I really like, my favorite tracks on the EP itself is Long Term Lady. It's kind of a funky jam. Yeah.
Yo, the chorus on that,
one,
bro. I couldn't stop. I must have listened to it like 30 times in a row the other day.
Thanks, man.
It's just like I didn't see it coming. You know what I mean? Like it switched up so much, and it hit on beat so well.
Man.
Yeah. If you haven't listened to it, you got to check it out, man.
Yeah. That one I like too. And then and so I actually have 2 new songs about to be released with him, probably within the month. We just finished the mixes this week, and so we're going to send them to mastering. Then you have to upload them to like Spotify and Apple Music, and then submit them for playlists and all that stuff. So it's like a bit of a process, but so that should be out this summer. And then so anyway, I'm glad you really like that, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was gonna ask, well, how come your music isn't on Apple Music?
It is on Apple Music.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Because I was posting on Instagram on Morning Dinner that we're gonna have you today, so I swiped up to the music to have the music tab, so I can play one of your songs. Yeah. And I searched Cameron Dettman, but I the only one song came up that it was like a feature that you did.
Huh. As far as I knew, I was still on there. I could double check, but
I wonder what's going on with that lately. Because like I know like on Morning Dinner, I can put like a music sticker and find music, but on my personal account, it's a business account too.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's the same. I can't. The stickers doesn't show up there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Have you had any issues with that lately?
Not really. I have the link to it on my website, the Apple Music, and my Spotify and all that. So and it works as far as I had known.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I have an iPhone, man. So like all the Apple Music, like I stopped paying for Apple Music because I switched over to Spotify.
I did too. I did that.
And then
recently.
my phone doesn't automatically connect to the Bluetooth now. Like you have to go and configure that.
Yeah.
And then you can't ask Siri to play things anymore.
Yeah.
Because now it's Spotify.
It's not. When that happens,
they're like, fuck y'all.
I want before we wrapped up, because I think we're at the 43-minute mark.
Sweet.
Before we wrapped up, I want to talk about your trip to Singapore. What happened out there?
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And how was like the people, like how they everything?
Oh, dude. So I did a 6-month residency at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel out in Singapore last year. I was there from February through August, and that came about because I was performing a gig here in town, and I met the general manager of the hotel. He just happened to be there, watched me play, and he came up to me and was like, "Hey, I really like what you're doing. You should come play at my hotel." And I was like, "Okay, where's your hotel?" And he's like, "It's in Singapore." And I was like, "Okay, you might be full of shit." So let's
kind of scams.
Let's see where this goes, because it's like that's one thing in being in this business is, you meet a lot of fucking people that are just
talk.
like,
Oh, yeah.
hey man, I know a guy who knows a guy who works for Capitol Records, and just shit like that. So like I'm used to being let down, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let me get your card and we'll talk about it, and he gave me his card, and it was like Ritz-Carlton Millennia, Singapore, and his name is Peter Mangi, and he was for real. He sent me a contract like 2 weeks later, and I thought it was just going to be like a little maybe like a month-long trip or something like that, but it was like a whole thing, and I just gotten out of a really bad relationship, so I was like looking, and I just gotten done with The Voice, not making a team, like I was really sad, and so the timing of it was all just pretty much perfect.
Nice.
So I was like, I guess I'm going to Asia, so I ended up there and played 6 nights a week at the hotel, and that was the only obligation.
How long were the sets?
Just 3 hours, like same as here, and it was originals and cover songs, and I got to live at the hotel in one of the rooms.
Nice.
I got free, hotel food, like amazing Ritz-Carlton buffet
Every
food
day?
every day, three
That's
times
tight.
a week, and then I got, my laundry was done for me.
You went around the city though, right?
all
Everything?
the time. Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like the city itself is, so Singapore, it's like a, if any of you guys have seen Crazy Rich Asians, that's where it takes place, right?
I knew it.
And so Singapore it's this tiny island at the very southern tip of Malaysia. So it's like north of Indonesia and south of Thailand, right?
Right.
And so it used to be part of Malaysia as a whole, but then after World War II, Malaysia used to be a British colonized country, and then after the war ended, Malaysia was like, you guys are a bunch of pussies, you couldn't even fight the Japanese off for us, so we want to be doing our own thing. And so they did. But then Singapore was this sort of like hub of different cultures and different religions, and it was also a big port city, so there was a lot of activity that went on that didn't go on in the rest of Malaysia. I'm paraphrasing obviously, but
It's like the Vegas of the East.
kinda, yeah, and in a lot of ways. And so there were a lot of new sort of laws and rules that that Malaysia was trying to apply to Singapore, because it's predominantly a Muslim country. And so a lot of the people in Singapore weren't Muslim and didn't agree with that. So there was a big disagreement with that. And so there was a bunch of riots. And then basically, long story short, Malaysia was like, we're going to just cast you out of the country. You can do your own thing. Fine. So they're like, all right, fine. And Malaysia was thinking, oh, they're going to come crawling back to us and be like, oh, we're sorry. But they never did. And they became an independent country. And then they created one of the biggest economies in all of Asia. And it's extremely westernized. It's clean. It's beautiful. It's really safe. There's barely any crime there.
Really?
It's all the like half the buildings are just covered in, vines and orchids.
Is Singapore
and
the place
stuff
where
like
you
that.
can't chew gum? Or is that Macau?
What?
No,
the
that's part of it. It's so
you can't chew gum?
it's those
On the roads,
rules.
because like they don't want it on the streets and shit.
Yeah, it's more of a scare tactic than anything. Like you can have gum. They don't sell gum in the country, but you can like have gum. You can bring gum if you like gum.
Smuggle gum in.
And, yeah, right. Yeah, but it's more of like a thing to keep things clean, And
Yeah.
It's smart.
And
Oh, that's dope,
and
man.
you have to really like try really hard to get fined for it, because
Yeah.
like you have to like spit out gum in front of a cop.
gotta be chewing all ignorant.
Yeah, just spit it on his shoes. He's like, really, man? Like, yeah, because it's a lot like Europe or America in a lot of ways. Like everybody speaks English too. Like English is the first language because of the whole British colonization thing. In the
But
past.
that's kind of cool. You
Nice.
weren't super distant. It wasn't
No,
like,
but there was but the population is still predominantly Asian, so it's like it's Malaysians, Chinese, then a lot of Indians, and then just like Europeans and white people kind of sprinkled in,
Nice.
And yeah,
always.
There's always a white person sprinkled in this.
Yeah, we always sprinkle.
but it's full of but it's really cool because it's like this sort of cultural center of different religions, and it's still the same like as before. And so there are these different places around town that have these sort of cultural like hubs. Like there's a Little India, there's a Chinatown, there's there's a place called Bugis Market, which has a lot of like sort of Malaysian type things.
Is
you
it
can check
expensive
out.
to live out there?
Yes, very
It's
expensive.
very expensive.
Yeah, but there's a lot of places you can get really cheap food at, and there's they have hotels, Airbnbs, and so it's really great to visit and just kind of see, because it's almost like Asian Wakanda. That's how I think about it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. And I got to spend 6 months out there, made a bunch of amazing friends, and just wrote and practiced and performed, and it made me such a better performer as a whole. And And I'm going back again. I'm going back only for 3 months though. It's just basically October through December of this year.
That's tight.
Nice.
So,
I was gonna ask. I think you mentioned you were going back.
Yeah, I was thinking of going back again, but the one downside of it was just being away from home for 6 months. It's a long time. It was the longest I've ever been away from
3
home.
months is still pretty damn long too.
Yeah, but it was enough to where you're being pampered basically, so it was just like a really nice kind of relaxing type of deal, and it was very kind of freeing for me.
Did you go to any other shows or little areas where there's a little culture?
Yeah, there was they have a So Far Sound Singapore as well, actually.
They're everywhere.
Yeah,
Were you ever doing shows out there with them?
I did a couple gigs. Like I played at the Facebook headquarters they have there, because Facebook has like one of their big Asian things, and I met a lady who worked there, and she booked me to play and for one of their offices openings. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
And I just played a couple of the local. They have like these bars that have jams, and you can go up and just play a song and stuff. So I got to play with some random guys that were there, and so they have like a pretty decent cover song scene out there too. And then they have original songs too, and then like the guys that play original music are like think the cover guys are lame, just like here,
Yeah.
So it's all the same type of shit.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about just traveling and performing overseas? Because I heard they have a bigger appreciation for music.
They do, honestly, they do, man. Like the people that were there were just so attentive and really nice, and yeah, I thought about it. I'm gonna definitely try to make that sort of a part of my career. Like I'm trying to do a little show in Manila, because I met some friends who are in a band called Over October out there.
Nice. Manila sounds like a rich country.
That's the Philippines.
Sounds like a cookie.
That's where the Manila fashion shows at.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of Milan. I'm so ignorant, bro.
Yeah, it's all good, man. But yeah, and I'd recommend anybody to check it out, especially if like you guys are, if you've done Europe and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do Asia, because Asia, there's a lot of places. Like I went to Thailand, and there's it's pretty sketchy. It's intense, man. But there's a lot of really cool things about it. But it's not the same as the U.S. Like it's a second, for a third world country in a lot of places. And there's a lot of poverty and just crazy things too. And so
I feel like anywhere outside of the U.S. is the most impoverished nation, because if you think about how much, if you make, what was that statistic we're looking at, Chuck, where like if you make $30,000 a year in the U.S., you're like in the top 10% or top 1%, 1% of the richest people in the world.
Yeah, it's true.
Nuts.
It's like if you take the whole pool of everything in the world, then it's totally the case. And yeah, and Singapore is one of those places where, if I could totally live there if it was less expensive, and and if I didn't live in the US, like that would be a place that I would consider wanting to live. It would be pretty cool,
Right.
And
so that's dope, man. Real quick, because we gotta be wrapping up pretty soon.
All good.
What do you have coming up in the future, and then kind of like where can people find you online?
Yep.
Sure. So right now I have a couple new videos I just released on my YouTube channel. One is a song called Wildfire. The other song is called What If, and I do live looping.
Okay.
So it's basically like I just kind of build a song from scratch, like all with like beats and then with guitar, and then
nice.
It's like the one man band thing. So I've done a couple videos of that. I have another shoot of this Sunday for another video, so that should be out within next month. And then again, I have 2 new songs with my producer Pat that should be out also this summer. And then if you can find all of that on my website, which is CameronDettman.com, which is just my name. And you please follow me on Instagram, which is just Cameron_Dettman. You can follow me on Twitter as well, and Facebook, and pretty much all the places. And then also definitely on Spotify and Apple Music.
There you go, man.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, bro. We really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to have you on since last September.
Yeah, thank you.
We made it happen, man.
But things happen. You went to Singapore, you came back, and we got busy. And
it's all good.
I'm glad we were able to make the time to
this is
make
fun,
it happen.
Man. Thanks for having me again.
Everybody who's tuning in. Ooh. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next morning dinner.
Later, y'all.
Every time I come in to get you, you in the goddamn refrigerator.
I sure am hungry.